Obviously, Joey's forgiveness had worked in South Africa, and I hate to think what would have happened if forgiveness hadn't been around.
I don't know if you can forgive everything, because if somebody attacked or murdered one of my friends or family, I don't know if I could forgive them.
How often should I forgive? Someone asked Jesus. 7 times? He replied, I tell you 70 times 7.
Jesus doesn't literally mean that you should forgive 70 times 7. Forgiveness is more than just numbers. What he wants people to explore here is forgiveness as a way of life, something you do all the time. It's a state of mind. Despite life at times being really hard, for Jesus there was nothing which was unforgivable. Forgiveness was more than the words, I forgive you. It was deeper than that. He wanted people to show forgiveness in action, no matter how difficult the circumstances.
Is that realistic? It was for Peter and Linda Biehl. Their 23-year-old daughter was murdered in South Africa. But they set up projects like this bakery in the very heartland of where Amy was killed. Why?
Her death is something we regret very much, but her life is what counts, and it's what we do to celebrate that life through our own lives that matters.
Amy was an academic in South Africa on a year's scholarship at the University of the Western Cape. She was helping the country prepare for the first all-race elections that marked the end of apartheid.
Amy was very interested to look at the role of women in the changeover from a racially dominated society to a democratic society. She was very attractive, tall, sassy, quite sexy, well-dressed. We always envied her clothes. She had amazing taste for funky clothes and always looked quite spick.
I met Amy at the University of the Western Cape. From there we connected. And then we started phoning each other, going out together, and also at the university we look for each other. Or sometimes if I go to lecture and go to the student center, she'll go there, look for me, and so on. So it was that kind of friendship. But it was a really first experience for me to be associated with a so-called white person.
Amy was passionate, you know, she loved people, and so in a short space of time she had an enormous circle of friends. She was in and out the townships. She knew all the pubs and the clubs. Amy was a very good student. I mean, she played as hard as she worked.
A few days before Amy was due to go home to America, some friends asked if she would give them a lift to Guguletho, a black township on the outskirts of Cape Town. They wanted to be dropped at the police station.
They departed the University of the Western Cape about 4:25, 4:30, something like that. And they came into Guguletho and approaching the Caltech station, there was a truck stalled in the road being stoned. Amy came up behind it, and that's where she was attacked. She never got a chance to drop her friends at the police station.
There was a lot of violent unrest during the change from apartheid to democracy, and Amy had run into a crowd of young people who had just been at a political gathering of the Pan-African Congress Party. The PAC, as it was known, was urging students to take direct action to make the country ungovernable.
The PAC slogan at the time was "One settler, one bullet." And these young people were very angry. It was an anger that was almost endorsed by the liberation struggle because they'd had enough of the apartheid government. And when they saw this white kid, they smashed in her window, stoned her car.
Sitting in the front was Amy and Everall. I was sitting at the back, myself and Cindy Swa. We just saw this group of youth on the side, about 14 in number in terms of numbers. I didn't know what happened. It was just like lightning. I don't know at what stage did they come through the car and stone. It was just the stonings. I couldn't see Amy, but when I look around, people crying, Amy was next to a pole, a little pole there, full of blood, with the sign of the garage, a pole with the sign of the garage. She was full of blood. When I go there, they were coming with knives, and then we ran.
And when we got here, there were hundreds of people in the courtyard, including Amy's colleagues who were in the car with her. And when we examined Amy, we obviously had to tell the police that Amy had died. There were no vital signs. And the reaction of the people in that courtyard still haunts me now. I still hear them shouting. Amy's friends could not believe that she had actually died.
I think one shouldn't highlight Amy's death above the many black South Africans who died. It was one of many. But the thing that sets Amy's death apart was there were black people who pleaded with her killers. She's a comrade. She's one of us. Please don't kill her.
Although Amy's death provoked angry reaction from both black and white communities, Peter and Linda Biehl felt no hatred towards their daughter's killers.
I felt this enormous void, and I felt that I would never talk to Amy again, ever. And that was devastating. I mean, but it wasn't a matter of hate. It wasn't a matter of anger. I mean, we knew why Amy was here, and we knew the risks. And I mean, still, there's always an element of disbelief. You know, you knew it could happen, but you can't believe it could actually happen. But to me, it was knowing that I could never speak to Amy again that's what really devastated me more than any other thing, I think.
My first thoughts were, Lord, forgive them, they know not what they do. I did not feel rage and revenge at all, because Amy had talked to us for years about the disenfranchised youth of South Africa, about the political situation. I didn't realize I knew so much, and all of a sudden her words started coming through. I knew that they were acting out years of horrible things that happened in their lives, that it wasn't a personal, vindictive thing against Amy Biehl. So that was the thing that probably prevented me from thinking rage, and it was almost like, yeah, this could happen to Amy because of her commitment.
When I look at the Biehls, I say amazing grace, because they were less angry than I was. I think I was angry and unforgiving for a long time. I'm not even sure that I've forgiven those people, because for me, Amy is an enormous loss. I saw the potential. I could see in a few years from now what she would be. I saw somebody compassionate about the oppressed and wanting them liberated.
The forgiveness kind of works like this. First of all, you have to understand why and how the event happened. And you have to understand the context within which it happened, and you have to understand those who did this thing. With understanding, acceptance is possible. Once you've accepted it, then it becomes a very natural next step to liberate yourself from it, and that comes when you forgive. When you forgive and accept, you are, in essence, liberating yourself from the event and enabling yourself to go forward with life on a positive level.
Linda felt she came to terms with the meaning of forgiveness after one of the murderer's mothers asked to meet her. They have since become friends.
I admired her for her ability to think about me as the other mother. She didn't know Amy. She didn't know what Amy was about, but as one human being to another. And so it was fairly natural. It was not real difficult. This was just down the street from where Amy was killed. The sense was very peaceful, and that Amy would be very proud of me because I was able to meet this woman, and a woman who, again, did not have an easy life. And I think it just sort of came together at that moment, very, not dramatically, but easily.
4 young men had been convicted of Amy's murder and sentenced to 18 years imprisonment. But in 1997 they applied for amnesty from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The commission, led by Bishop Desmond Tutu, had been set up by Nelson Mandela after he became president. It had the power to free people if the crime had been politically motivated because of apartheid. Peter and Linda attended the hearing and did not oppose their application to be pardoned.
We come to South Africa as Amy came, in a spirit of committed friendship. If someone is telling you the truth and is confessing to the truth and saying, I'm sorry, I did this, I'm genuinely sorry I did this, then reconciliation is really, from that point, a very simple thing. Because if you turn your back on the truth, then you know you're no better than, in fact, you're worse off than you were to begin with.
The commission also gave Amy's killers a chance to say sorry, and for 2 of the young men it was important to receive the Biehl's forgiveness.
It was my chance to experience my feelings and my pain. That's why I said truth reconciliation was good to me. Yes. To talk in front, in public, of people that I'm sorry what I did.
When they said they were sorry, and they didn't have to really show remorse. I think they did. I think it made me feel that there was some hope for them. And they weren't just awful guys.
For me, very truthfully, it was more important to them that they be able to say, we're sorry. Because for them, it sort of reestablished their humanity and their humility.
You feel bad, you know, because it will disturb you, it will always be with you wherever you go. But to me, it became important just to face the family and see. And if I could hear them saying, no, we forgive you, that would be enough. So I needed that forgiveness just to carry on living.
If there is no forgiveness, then also there is no a second chance. Human being, you need a second chance.
The Biehls did more than just give the men a second chance. When the murderers asked to meet them, they agreed and are now building a relationship with them.
After we release in prison, me and Tobeko Penny, we decide that, hey, if we can meet with Amy's parents, then we can sit down, speak with them and asking questions about how they're feeling to sit with me here.
I think we should say easy. The big easy, that's already else.
I don't think it's easy for them, and I don't think it's easy for us. But we came together, and as the relationship evolved, sometimes they may be disappointed in us, and we may be disappointed in them. We can have a relationship that hopefully can help others understand that it is possible to cross boundaries and to understand people that may have wronged you.
I think that Christ's example, if nothing else, challenges us always to take the extra step, and the extra step is really not extra, it's what's expected of one.
Peter and Linda blame the violence of apartheid for Amy's death. They set up the Amy Biehl Foundation to help show young people that they could have a future free of this violence.
It seems a fitting tribute to us, to Amy, whose life was taken by violence, that we should be doing something in this new democracy to make it possible for young people to avoid the horrible downsides of a violent life.
When young kids have a safe place to go after school, they're not going to fall, hopefully, prey to perpetrators, and they're not going to become perpetrators of violence.
Life in South Africa is still not easy for non-white people. By funding things as simple as a modelling school graduation, the Biehls feel they can give young people hope, self-esteem, and a chance to believe that they do have a future.
They're marvelous what they do. They've beat whatever negativity that tried to be in front of them. You tend to have that anger within you. You want to revenge, but their revenge it hits you in another way. It hits you in your conscience. Whatever they're giving me, I have to take it and use it in the most positive way to show them that I really appreciate what they're doing, yes.
I think a lot of people can learn from that experience, and that hatred would not maybe get us somewhere. It will never build us. Instead, it will maybe destroy whatever we are trying to do.
To a lot of people, what Linda and Peter have done will sound unbelievable, but they say they're just following Jesus' words.
I definitely feel that the teachings of the New Testament are the teachings that are more important to me, the sense of forgiveness, as opposed to eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. We both agree, I think our whole family have always agreed that that is more how we approach our Christian ethic, and that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth doesn't do anyone any good.
If you stop to think about it just on a human level, Jesus' teachings are all about what's required to coexist peacefully with one's fellow man, and they make good sense. So as far as we're concerned, those teachings live today. They live for us, and they live for countless thousands of South Africans.
Joe forgave his apartheid oppressors. But should people forgive all the time? The Biehls forgave their daughter's killers. Does forgiving make us a stronger or weaker person? Does forgiveness mean never standing up for yourselves or others? And if people never forgive, what might they be missing? As Christians, Joe and the Biehls believe Jesus' teachings are as relevant today as they were when he said them. But are they? Have they stood the test of time?
To forgive used to be a really big problem with me. I used to think, if you hurt me, that's it, there's no going back. But then you actually you can't actually move on, because that person's always going to be in your life some way or another.
I think time plays a big role in forgiveness, because often when you're forgiving someone, you've often been hurt by them and the wounds have to heal. I think it's unreasonable to expect forgiveness before the wounds have healed and before some time has passed.
It makes a major difference in everything we do and everything that we love, because in order to forgive each other, we accept each other, and then we become loving, we become open to each other. And I think forgiveness plays a very important role, because without forgiveness, where will we be?